When sharing an apartment, the excitement of moving in quickly turns into a debate. Within minutes, you argue over who gets the best bedroom or exactly how much space each person gets in the fridge. To keep the peace, you have to establish a roommate agreement. You sit down, draft a chore chart, and exactly how to split rent so the whole situation doesn't collapse into chaos. Look at our planet, and the situation is identical. Earth is a giant house with limited room and fixed resources. History is simply the record of this negotiation, a process of defining who gets which room and how it's used. For most of our story, humans were just wandering the hallways. But with the invention of agriculture, we learned to grow our own food, which allowed us to stop moving, settle down, and claim specific rooms for the first time. To mark these new claims, early societies built massive, unmistakable monuments. They appointed a head of household to enforce the rules and protect their section from outsiders. As these rooms became more successful, they also became more crowded. Prosperity meant more people needing more space, which eventually led to neighbors bumping elbows in the corridors. Once the original rooms reached their maximum capacity, the occupants were forced to look toward the unexplored parts of the house to see if there was space left to claim. The roommates in the old world were competing for faster shortcuts to the pantry. They were desperate for easier trade routes to access the spices and goods of Asia. Columbus sailed west to find one of those shortcuts, but accidentally bumped into the Americas. He had unexpectedly discovered a massive, already occupied new wing of the house that the other roommates didn't even know existed. European powers immediately scrambled to claim their own corners of this new wing. This land grab sparked expensive global conflicts, like the 7 Years' War, as everyone fought to secure their piece of the floor plan. Defending new space is incredibly expensive. To cover the costs of these border wars, governments almost always end up demanding that their citizens pay for the bill. Britain spent a fortune securing control over the American wing of the house. To pay for it, they demanded the colonists living there pay higher rent in the form of heavy new taxes. The colonists had a clear counteroffer. They refused to pay this new rent unless they were given a seat at the table to help write the house rules. This disagreement over taxes and representation escalated into a full revolution. With the Declaration of Independence, the colonists officially broke their lease with the British Crown. After winning their freedom, the roommates in the American wing had to design a functional agreement from scratch. This new constitution, starting with "We the People," set the rules for how they would manage their own space. This wasn't just a military victory. It moved the authority to write the house rules away from a distant landlord into the hands of the people actually living in the room. Soon, the new United States decided its current room wasn't big enough. Under the banner of Manifest Destiny, they began looking at the rest of the continent as space they were destined to occupy. The U.S. rapidly expanded its borders through massive real estate deals like the Louisiana Purchase and border wars with Mexico, pushing their claim all the way to the Pacific. This growth had a violent cost. To make room for this expansion, the government forcibly evicted the Native American tribes who had been living in those western rooms for thousands of years. In just a few decades, the U.S. moved from a coastal tenant to a continental landlord. By securing the ports on both oceans and the farmland in between, they became a central player in the global house. By the 20th century, the global map was completely drawn. There were no more empty rooms left to discover, and every corner of the house had a permanent occupant. Conflict shifted from finding land to arguing over how the entire global neighborhood should be run. These were massive ideological wars between roommates with very different ideas about the rules. The Cold War was a tense standoff between two dominant roommates, the US and the Soviet Union. For decades, they divided the house, arguing over whether the global agreement should be based on capitalism or communism. Today, our challenges aren't about finding new space. They are about managing the tense boundaries and the difficult rules of a house we are all forced to share. The global roommate agreement is never finished. It is being renegotiated every day as people protest unfair rules and demand a better arrangement. Throughout the last century, marginalized groups have fought to change the house rules, demanding fairness and equality for everyone living under the roof. As our current house becomes more crowded and our resources run low, humanity has started looking beyond the neighborhood entirely. Modern space exploration is effectively the search for a new wing, the beginning of our quest to find entirely new houses out among the stars. A world map is effectively a snapshot of this active roommate agreement, a living document that every one of us is still negotiating today.